Hello, friends. Thank you so much for coming back today. I want to take today to talk about a lens that is fast becoming something I pick up a lot more than I anticipated. Today, I want to talk about a lens that when I first bought it, I was hesitant because I had a bag full of prime lenses and those were my babies. I still absolutely love them, but this lens is really changing my ways quite a lot, and I find myself picking it up so much more than I really anticipated. The Canon RF 28-70 2.0 is phenomenal. It truly is. When I first got it, I was having issues with it. If you've seen my previous video, there was a lot of comments, a lot of suggestions and recommendations from the viewers, which I appreciate more than you know, because I was dealing with Canon back and forth for a long time and this was never suggested. So I will tell you what I changed, why I changed it, and I'm going to tell you a little bit more about why this lens is becoming a new favorite. For years, I've shot with prime lenses. You've seen my videos and I love the primes. I really don't think anything will ever actually truly replace them in my mind. I always have one on my harness, even if I do have my 28-70 on the other side. They are phenomenal lenses. They truly are. And I keep promising a comparison video, and I will do that. I have to have a little bit more time to actually film a hands-on video for you guys because I am in peak season. My kids are coming out of school in the next week here. So life is nuts, and this is this is what I have time for. So I'm going to share with you why I love the primes, because the bokeh is just so buttery and smooth. I've shot with the 35mm, the 1.8 for years, and I'm still waiting for the 35 1.2 to hopefully get released. I think we've all got ants in our pants waiting for that, and seems like the ants are going to stay for a while, which sounds revolting. You understand what I'm saying. We are waiting for that lens, and that will be something that stays on my camera a lot. Whereas right now I've got the 35 1.8, and I just can't pick it up as much as I would love to pick up my 35, basically. I see the difference between that, my 50mm, the 85mm, the 1.2s. They're so crisp, they're so sharp. The focus is beyond phenomenal. I can't even. And so I'm not picking the 35mm up. So that leaves me with my 85 and my 50. And while I absolutely love those, they have so many strengths for very specific purposes. I always use my 50 for my portraits, and I love that. It's just flawless. My 85mm is obviously great for the longer reaches, especially for weddings. But my 35mm, I don't find the quality quite there. So I have it as an option lens, but that 28-70, when I first bought it, it was a beast. I was really concerned about the weight, and I have little wrists. So holding that kind of weight is intense. It truly is. And I was concerned because when I first got this, it's a very, very heavy lens, and it was very front heavy, and I found I was so much strain just trying to hold it up all the time. So I ended up also getting the battery grip, which I know seems counterproductive because I'm actually adding more weight to it, but carpenters always talk about a well-weighted hammer, and it's all about the leverage. Like it's balanced now because you've got the mirrorless, which is a very lightweight camera body, which is wonderful, but you're never going to reduce the weight of glass because that's heavy. Doesn't matter how they make it and how they advertise it. It's always going to have that weight. So it is a considerably heavy setup, but it balances and it works. I will sometimes shoot without this battery grip, and I just have to make sure I really support with my left hand. And it works, it's fine. But, I've spoke to someone even just this past weekend, a videographer, a friend of mine. He tried this at 28-70, and he ended up returning it because it was just too heavy. So he ended up going with the 24-70, the 2.8. But I like capturing something very genuine to what the actual ambience is. So I felt that I couldn't give up that 2.0 over the 2.8. So I tried it. I jumped into it. Like I said, I love primes. Primes have always had my heart, and I find I was a lot more creative with the prime lenses because I was forced to use my feet. And as soon as I'm forced to move my feet in and out, I found I was circulating my couples a lot more, getting so many different angles, a huge variety for my galleries. And I loved that. And then I think I tried to zoom a little bit too early on, and I was relying on my zoom for creativity. And that was that was really kind of bringing my galleries down. I felt that they were quite stagnant because of that. And I didn't really realize at the time what it was. So now that I photographed purely with zooms for years now, I added this to my kit last summer. Like I said, I didn't like it to start with because if you've seen my previous video, I was getting so much inconsistency with light. I was getting stripes across my images as soon as I was trying to photograph in dark light, low light. It really messed those images up to the point that half of them are trash. And for a moment you can't get back. That was a really tough one to choose. So I put it down. I sent it to Canon to say, fix it. And they sent it back 3 months later and said, it's fine. I'm like, no, nope, something's not fine. And so we were back and forth, and thank you to the viewers, everyone that commented on my previous video, because I made a setting in my camera actually, and it changed it. I haven't had this problem since. And I'm so fortunate for that because it changed everything. I really picked this up a lot. I will tell you quickly what the setting was that I did change. So it was when you first get the R6, the standard settings in there is to shoot with an electronic shutter. As soon as I changed it from an electronic shutter to a mechanical shutter, it stopped the problem. But I found that setting and it changed it. So I am genuinely picking this camera and this whole setup, this lens, I'm picking it up a lot. I absolutely love it. I will photograph all of my weddings with it because I will have the 28-70 on one side. I will have my 85mm on the other side, and I will dual shoot with those the entire wedding day because I love the reach of the 85. Absolutely nothing can beat that lens. It is flawless. It is beautiful. But of course, you need that wider range. Being able to bring this right out to 28 is huge. Like I love having that wide angle and having that option, especially like sometimes I'm photographing in really small spaces and the 35 mode it doesn't cut it. So this just gives me those really wide shots. It can zoom me right in, and I'm still creative because I've had that practice with just shooting with primes, and I'm just like all around my people all the time. And I truly love it. It'll be very interesting when new 35mm does come out because this is just taken over my 35mm, the 1.8. And I feel like it's going to be a real test to myself as to if I am still a prime girl or if I do prefer this over just the 35mm. I'm going to be first in line for that lens as soon as it comes out, which I'm really pumped about. But right now, this combination with my 85mm is kind of, it's my go-to. I absolutely love it. But I will pick this up if I'm doing an engagement session, a family session. This is all I take with me. I mean, I take the other one as a backup, as a just in case. But these days, I will shoot the entire thing on this because I prefer not having a harness on and slinging those around. Whereas back in the day, last year, previous to when I trusted this lens, I was always dual shooting. I always had my 35mm on one side and my 85mm on the other side, and I loved that combination. But now I find without having that harness on, I have one camera in hand, and it just gives me so much more mobility. Like I don't have to worry about it like dropping on the ground or slinging and hitting my back, and like those cameras swing right around. So it's really nice have it on my hand. And I know that I'm capturing such a huge variety. I don't think the bokeh is necessarily as the same level as my primes. But like I said, I will put a video together really comparing those different focal lengths with the different lenses. I just have to have a few more minutes. It's funny. I had a whole ton of notes of really specific things I was going to go through, but I'm pretty sure I just word vomited everything at you all at once. So, I mean, really just to reiterate, it is such a powerful lens. The quality of the images are absolutely flawless. I love it. The huge downside is certainly that it is heavy. It's a beast. I have got serious wrist strain by the time I'm done a full wedding day. So I bought a little massager, a little Theragun, and it goes with me just as much as this lens does because it's intense. It really is. Am I glad I got this lens? Yes. Like I said, there was a learning curve. There was some growing pains, but now that those have been ironed out, I am extremely happy with this lens, and it's kind of taking over. I think a part of me is very interested to see how I would like the 70-200, and it's on my wish list. I'm not sure if it's before the 35mm or after, but at this rate, I don't know when that 35mm is actually going to get released. So I'm not going to keep my fingers crossed on that one, but The 70 to 200 I've heard is actually a little bit lighter than this lens. So I think I might give that a try, but I am, of course, very concerned about the weight and how, things are going to go with that. So if anyone's got any input on that 70 to 200, I would love a little bit of insight as to if you love it, if you've tried it compared to this, and how it really kind of coincides, works together. I've heard a lot of wedding photographers love the combination of having that, the 28 to 70, or even the 24 to 70 on one side, and then they shoot with the 70 to 200. Because I mean, that focal range is huge for a wedding day that I'm like I wouldn't have to move my feet. I would, but I feel like I wouldn't even need to move. And I think that could be very powerful. So I'm interested to give that a try, but I've invested a lot in gear over the last couple of years. So I'm going to try to refrain from putting that sucker on my credit card because I'm not sure it likes me very much. But there you have it. I love this lens. It is absolutely phenomenal. Like I said, I was on the fence when I first bought it because I was having troubles with it, and it made me extremely nervous. I thought I had wasted $4,000 on a lens that just become a paperweight. I mean, it's a lot of money. And so now that I've had the changes and I've tried it, I hardly ever pick up my 35 mil. I have it on my camera right now for filming. But other than that, I'll use my 35 mil for flat lace for weddings, for macro shots, for wedding rings and stuff like that. But that's about the only time I actually pick up this 35 mil. And I know if I had the 35 mil, the 1.2, it would be on my camera just as much as this one. And then I'd be alternating between those primes. So it'll be very interesting how things change. Either way, I hope this gave you a little bit of insight into this lens, and if you think it might be worth it, because if you are contemplating between multiple different primes or this, I would suggest you give it a try. But like everything, if you can get your hands on it, try it before you have to purchase it, because there's no going back sometimes. And it is a big investment. All of our gear always is. If you found this video helpful and give you a little bit of insight, I would absolutely love it if you hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. There's going to be more videos coming at you every single week. There's always going to be something for up-leveling your photography, improving your business, talking about gear, and there will be some comparisons coming. Not this week. Anyways, check back. I will see you next week.